at a pivotal point?
I definitely think we're at a pivotal point. See, the Trump economic team, you look who's around them, it's David Malpass, Steve Moore, Larry Kudlow, Art Laffer, great guys. This is the Reagan team. And,
well, yeah.
And they're going to run the Reagan playbook, but there's a big difference. When Ronald Reagan ran the Reagan playbook, when he was sworn in January 1980, interest rates were 20%, inflation was 13%, and debt to GDP was 35%. So interest rates had nowhere to go but down. The bond market had nowhere to go but up. Stocks and bonds rose together. Reagan piled on debt, but starting from a very low level. So Reagan had all these tailwinds. Now, Trump's going to try to run the same playbook with nothing but headwinds. Debt to GDP is 100%. Interest rates have nowhere to go but up. Inflation has nowhere to go but up. So this is like Reagan ran a playbook against a high school football team. Trump's going to run the same playbook against the New England Patriots. So you get a very different result.
Well, and in fact, I just want to bring up the DXY because you will be able to see in the chart where the Reagan dollar was at the time. It was very strong,
right.
Dollar index. As soon as it comes up, we can see there, you see the 1988 to 84 period roughly. You see a very strong dollar. Now, the dollar index is strengthening again, but isn't that the one trump card that, yeah, what you say, I mean, its potential to happen is there,
right.
But because of the strong dollar, it's unlikely. And you also suggest that there's a conspiracy there.
Well, it's not a conspiracy so much. What I call the global elites, and it's not like some deep, dark conspiracy like they're all wearing hoods, around a table. We know who they are. It's Christine Lagarde, it's Mario Draghi, it's Larry Summers, it's professors, central bankers, thought leaders, etc. It's not that they're in a conspiracy, but they're like-minded. They all went to the same schools. They actually, some of them are each other's professors. Stan Fisher was PhD thesis advisor to a lot of the central bankers around the world. So they all think alike. So there's a little bit of groupthink going on. This is really the globalized elite. But the problem is, you can have the same policies, but if the initial conditions are different, you will get very different results. That's what complexity theory teaches. So again, strong dollar during the Reagan years, that was deflationary. Strong dollar is always deflationary. But when inflation's starting out at 15%, you want deflation or disinflation. With Trump, with inflation starting out about 1.6%, a strong dollar could throw you into zero, even outright deflation as opposed to disinflation. So again, same playbook, different initial conditions, you'll get very different results, potentially disastrous results. The other point I'm making, David and Ivani, is that the systemic risk doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's like when an avalanche happens and it kills a skier, it doesn't care if the skier is a liberal or a conservative. There are bigger forces at play than the partisanship and the policies that they choose. And these cannot be stopped except by extreme measures, and that's why I'm talking about locking down the system. This is all, it's all documented in the book. For example, the money market funds. In 2008, they could not suspend redemptions. They had to give you the money back, and they couldn't break the buck. Both of those laws have been changed very recently. Now they can break the buck. So you put $1 in, used to get $1 out, plus interest might be low. Now they can give you 95 cents or 94 cents, depending on the market. But worse yet, they can suspend redemptions.
But isn't that a good thing? I mean, market to market is supposed
to
be a good thing,
right? It's a good thing, Bonnie, unless you want your money. This is my point. From a policy point of view, this is called, macroprudential regulation. In 1933, FDR shut the banks. In 1914, the New York Stock Exchange was closed for 5 months. We've seen all this before. My point is, when they get desperate, they're going to lock down the system. Does it save the world? Might buy a little time, but what if you want your money back?